And like April 15th of 1988, there's a knock on my front door, and it's IRS agent Marty Webb. Tall, slender, shoulder-length brown hair, and her lips were trembling because she's really nervous. I'm 6'3", and not that I towered over her, but she's in the field, female, and she's rightfully nervous. I like speaking to huge groups, and so I appreciate that, you know, out in the field, you're knocking on a stranger's door and you're from the IRS. That's strike three. And so she said, "Hey, you didn't claim your tips in 1984 when you filed that tax return." I said, "I know, I figured someday you'd find me. Give me your card and we'll talk later. I'll set up a meeting and pay this, no problem." And so she gave me her card. "Okay, Mr. Myrland." And 3 weeks later, when the meeting was coming up, I called her and I said, "I can't make this one, let's reschedule." And put it out another 3 weeks. And when that was looming, I called again and said, "I can't make it, put it out another 3 weeks." And then as that one loomed, I moved to another place, changed jobs, and started studying tax law, 1988. And that was June of '88. And in December of '93, I was totally through with my research and wrote my treatise in the first quarter of '94 called Codebreaker. It's a list of ways the tax code is violated by the IRS, 83 being one of those. Now, between 1988 and 1994, I was a slave to case law. You can't read too much case law. I wish I could take seminars directly from judges, don't you? That's called case law. And when you read what a judge is willing to write, they're trying to impress their coworkers. When they don't write down their decision and they just say case dismissed, or they're very curt or short with dealing with, that's when they're screwing you. Because any judge that's not screwing you should be willing to write down the law and say what the law is, which is the judiciary's role in our republic. Marbury versus Madison. So I was a slave to case law for those several years. I mean, I'd go to the Washington State Law Library and come back with a stack of it was in another century. Photocopied case law, no such thing as PDFs to me. Stacks of case law that I photocopied out of books at the law library at 5 cents a page. Then I'd go through them again and read them again and put brackets around the paragraphs that I liked. All these cases, and then there's some I decided to just burn in the fireplace. So I had this collection of cases on this topic, and then I'd go to my word processor, a Brother word processor with a strike ribbon on it, okay, real loud printer, and I'd type in those paragraphs in the site of that case. So here I am, I read it at the law library. I read it again to find the pertinent parts, the reasons I photocopied it, and then I entered it. I read it again to enter it on the computer and actually typed it. That's a great way to learn. It's hard copy research. And I did that for boxes of photocopied case law. And so I was learning directly from judges what a judge has said on paper about a particular topic. If in court you have to file a motion for summary judgment, the city I sued, or the county, or the state, or whoever that I sued didn't even bother to answer my complaint, or they're 10 days late answering my complaint, I have to file a motion for default judgment. Then you better go get about 40 cases on default judgment from that level of court, whether it's U.S. District Court or whether it's in your county. You want to get a bunch of cases about default judgment and read how the courts discuss it. What are the thresholds? There, I just read 40 cases for one little motion I had to file. Now picture it, 5 times to the Supreme Court by 1998, 3 times to the Supreme Court in 2018 alone, and those are just the tax cases. I had clients all the time in between that. In the 1990s, like after 1996, I branched off into traffic court because I saw that federal law was futile. And after traffic court, I learned a bunch of other areas of law, like under the Unfair Trade Practices Act. I beat the Attorney General in Oregon practicing law without a license for hay farmers that were accused civilly, it was a civil lawsuit, for violating the Pyramid Promotional Scheme statute when they participated in and promoted a gifting club, 2001. I think the judgment on that was September 1st, 2001 in Klamath County Circuit Court in Oregon. So way off the track of taxes. And here's the only victory in the United States for gifting club members when they were prosecuted and sued across the United States in 1999, 2000, 2001. I got the only victory for them in the whole United States. There are people that went to jail, people that lost everything they owned, so forth. So it wasn't just taxes, but on taxes alone, 8 trips to the Supreme Court, and I wrote all the pleadings. I hope you sense that there's a learning curve, and my ability to do that comes from having read so many decisions, probably in the neighborhood of 4,500 federal decisions, appellate and Supreme Court. So I've listened to judges, I write to judges. When you read what I write in a pleading, it's obvious I'm not speaking to the opposing attorney. I'm talking to the judge, to isolate the other attorney in his ignorance, because I don't work for guilty people. If someone's innocent, I can slam the other side. So 1993 ended, and that was about the end of my administrative attempts with the IRS to get answers to the questions posed by my conclusions administratively with the IRS, and that was during the November, December of '93, I was writing the first briefs of my life. And then it was litigation for several people in 1994. On the 4th and 9th Circuit, there were 5 appeals to the 4th and 9th Circuits. 4th Circuit is in Tobacco Country, South Carolina, and the 9th Circuit, West Coast. 5 people out of tax court to those circuit courts. And then 1 person dropped off because of the stress caused to their marriage over the litigation, and those 4 petitioned the Supreme Court. Then I had another client came up through a state tax court to the state Supreme Court to the U.S. Supreme Court, all on Section 83. A couple of them were multiple issues, but included a description of Tax Code Section 83's operation.